Hey, hello, hi. My name is Phil Whiffin. I'm a technical marketing manager at Citrix, and I also happen to be the kind of early developer of the prototype that became the Citrix Virtual Apps desktop service microapps. So I'm deeply familiar with these microapps and how they work. And in this session today, I'm going to run through two kind of configuration scenarios where you can kind of build on top of the existing functionality. And hopefully that will give you kind of enough information to be able to go off and play with these microapps yourselves. One of the great things about these microapps is that they use the CVAD service APIs. And so, there's no kind of secret source or secret knowledge going on. You can, look up those public APIs and you can build functionality into these microapps yourself. So let's take a look at what we're going to build. So we're going to build two different things. We're going to build a Helpdesk microapp so that Helpdesk staff can manage all of the user sessions inside the CVAD service. So this is kind of like Director Lite. It's probably one of the best ways to think about it. But it's kind of neat because it's embedded into Workspace, and people don't need to log into Director, or you don't need to give people access to Director in order to use it, and for your Helpdesk staff to log people off from their sessions. And then the other thing we'll do is we'll dive a bit deeper and we'll get into adding new functionality to existing microapps. So we will add power on and power off functionality for virtual machines inside the My Desktops microapp. All right, so I'm just going to walk through configuring the My Sessions microapp and turn it into like a Helpdesk session manager. So we're going to clone that microapp. We're going to make some tweaks to it to make sure that it works and shows all sessions rather than just the sessions of the person logged into Workspace. And then we're going to demo it in action. So I'll go to the Citrix Cloud admin console. I've gone into the microapps tile and I'm looking at the pre-configured Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktop service. Now, if you need to configure this for yourself, I'll include information on how to do that at the end of the session. But we've got the core microapps here. What we're going to do is we're just going to clone that My Sessions microapp, and that will allow us to manipulate it and get it set up for other people. So we'll call it All Sessions, and hopefully I've got that tip there, Helpdesk. So we'll clone that. It's normally pretty quick to clone. There we go. Cool. Okay, so now we need to go in there and edit some data filters so that we can see all the sessions. Let's take a look. I'm going to go into pages here. And we're going to modify both pages that are part of the microapp. We'll start off with the My Sessions one, and then we'll go on to the individual detail. So to do this, we'll click this user interface element here. We need to do both, so we need to do virtual desktops and virtual apps. We'll go to, so I'll click the virtual desktops there. We go to data source and we need to edit the data filter. And the key thing that we need to change here is this filter that normally will make sure that only a person whose user principal name matches what's in Workspace and matches what's in the CVAD service, so they can only see their own sessions. We're making an admin mode, right? So we're going to remove that. So I'm just going to delete that data filter. The rules here automatically update, which is really neat. I'll click save. Okay, and then instantly you can see that I can now see more sessions, which is good. We'll do the same for virtual apps. So again, data source, edit the data filter. We'll remove the user principal name, so we'll delete that. Hit save, and we should see, there we go, we can see more sessions. That's good. Okay, and then we're going to go back up to pages. So I'm going to click here. We'll go into session detail. And we need to do the same thing again, but in a slightly different location. So this time we're editing the data filter on the page itself rather than these user interface elements. So I'm going to go, and if you need to do that and you've clicked away, you can just click anywhere on this page here and get that up. That brings up this element here, and then we go edit filter. And again, just delete that. So hit delete, I'll click save. And then we're done in terms of configuring the microapp. Now we need to add some subscribers to it so our Helpdesk team can view it in Workspace and start using it. So let's take a look at that. We'll go back up to the CVAD service microapps integration view. We click these three dots or the ellipsis here, and we'll go to subscriptions. Now I've already got a group set up that we can use for this, and I would imagine that you do too, but we're going to go for something called Workspace admins. I'll add that, and then for the purposes of this demonstration, to keep everything kind of tight and compact, I'm going to add myself as well so that I can view it. We're going to close that down, and then that's all that we're doing on the configuration side. The next thing to do is take a look at Workspace itself. Now it can take a minute or two for the subscriptions to update in Workspace, but we can go and take a look now and see if they're available. So we've got, just refresh. So it can take a minute to come through. Oh, I can see it there now. Okay, that's good. Let's go back. We're just filtering by this specific microapp here. Okay, cool. We've got it. Awesome. So if I now click, in fact, I can show you a comparison, right? So this is what I see if I view. This is the original microapp, right? This is what shows me my sessions only. So I can see two here. Now, if I close this and I open up the new one that we just created, we've got more sessions, which is good. That means I can see everything. So yeah, and then just very quickly to show you how it works, we can go into something like, let's use this one, right? So we'll go into this session, and we can see it's in a disconnected state. It's actually me that's using it, but that's fine. I don't want to disturb my colleagues by ending their sessions. And then what we can do is I can hit log off session here, and it will log off the session. Cool. Okay, so that's being pushed through to the CVAD service. And remember, that's using the CVAD service APIs. So the theory is that if I now look at this, we'll see, and it works, that we have no virtual app sessions. So that session has been ended, and then the CVAD service has kind of reported back to the microapps to say, like, that session is gone, it's no longer in the database, and that's reflected in the microapp. So that's it for configuring the All Sessions microapp. Okay, so now let's dig into modifying the My Desktops microapp so that we can add some power on and power off functionality. I'll just quickly show you what that looks like in the Workspace user interface to start with, and then we'll add the functionality afterwards. So we've got the My Desktops microapp here. We can see a list of virtual desktops that are associated with me. I can click into that. And then I have these options here for restart and force restart. But we're going to add two new buttons for the additional functionality. So let's get into that. I'm going to go to the Citrix Cloud backend and into the microapps tile. We'll open up the My Desktops microapp, and we'll take a look at the pages. So we've got two pages here. We've got desktop detail, and my desktops. Desktop detail is where you saw those buttons. So if I scroll down, you can see the 2 buttons there. What we'll do first is we'll add like the logic that lets the power on and power off functionality work, and then we'll go in and we'll add the buttons that we need in the user interface. So if we go and edit the CVAD microapps integration, what we'll do, so let's just look at this. So a whole bunch of this microapps functionality runs off scripting, which is really neat because it makes it fairly easy for us to add our own functionality to this using the CVAD REST APIs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand this, and I'm going to select all and copy it, and I'm going to put it into Visual Studio Code. And actually, let's start a new one because I really like this functionality. So when you first create a page, I can choose JavaScript, which then gives me all the hints and stuff that I need, which is pretty awesome. Then what we're going to do, so I'll have a quick look through here. This script runs off a bunch of functions, and these functions help us to kind of build logic in the micro app that lets it do things. So we're going to cheat a little bit. We're going to take some of the existing functions and kind of manipulate them so that they do what we want them to do. So what we'll do is, let's find the reboot machine functions. So there's 2 places this appears. This appears as a function, and then it also appears as like a service action. So we need to change 2 bits of code. So if we take this function, I've just copied it. I'm going to paste it above. I'm going to change it from reboot machine to start machine. And then we'll just change this wording here. So we're going to do start. And this one should say starting. Okay, and then I'm going to do that paste again, and we're going to do the stop action this time. So we're going to go stop, and we're going to change that and that. Okay. Then what we're going to do is, so I don't remember exactly what I need to send to the CVAD service APIs to make a machine start. So what we'll do is we'll take a look at the developer.cloud.com page and figure it out from there. So I'll start from the beginning. So if you go to developer.cloud.com, you've got platform, we want the Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktop Service, we want the REST APIs. There's a really good learning journey here that you should definitely check out if you're new to the CVAD service REST APIs. It's really helpful in getting up to speed. Now, you can explore all the different API options that you have down this left-hand side. I happen to know that we want to manipulate the machine's API endpoint, so I'm going to choose that. And we've got, you can see here, you've got disconnect session, you've got log off machine sessions. What we want is start machine. We also want shutdown machine. So if I scroll back up here, we can see what we need to send to the API in order to make it do stuff. So you've got api.cloud.com, CVAD APIs, and then the site ID, which is the CVAD site ID, the machine's endpoint, and then we need to send it a name or an ID that identifies the machine, and then we tell it to start. So that's cool. And then we can look up shutdown machine as well. Scroll back up towards the top. So it's very similar. You've got site ID again, machine ID, and then shutdown. So we can take that template, look at the Visual Studio Code that we've got, and make it work for us. So if I go back to Visual Studio Code, Okay, so let's take a look at Start Machine first. So you can see here, this is where we start sending our API calls, right? You've got the site ID, you've got machines, you've got an ID which is coming from the service, from the microapp page. And then we've got the $reboot and then force. Now we don't want force because that's not an option for us with this particular API endpoint. But we do want to say start. And then I'll come down and I'll do the stop machine one as well. So we'll just remove that force bit and have it shut down, I think, isn't it? Pretty sure it was shut down. Let's double check. No, yeah, shut down. Okay, cool. Right, so we've got that done. Now we need to, so we've got the functions done. Now we need to go and do the the service action setup. So we've got the reboot machine here. So we're just going to take that again. If it's possible, pay attention to where you're kind of copying this from. It's JavaScript, so it's quite sensitive about where your commas are and stuff and things like that, and nesting and things like that. So if we go, so we're going to have this one. It's going to be start machine, and because we don't need that force, we're going to take that out. So we'll just strip that from there. Let's bring that into line, and we're going to check. And then remember, this needs to reference the function that we just made further up in the code. So this is going to be start machine, and then I'm going to copy that again, and we'll make one for stop machine, or sorry, shut down machine, and then this one, stop machine. Let's make sure that that is actually what I just called it. Yeah, I called it stop machine, and oops. And that's correct there. Okay, cool. Right. So I'm going to select all and copy that. And then we're going to put it into the scripting interface in the microapps thing. So I'm going to close this because that was just a view mode. I'm going to edit. And then I'm going to select all. And I'm going to paste. And I'm going to hit save. Now, when I hit save, it'll pop up a new box, but it's worth paying attention here to the number of actions that we've got. So right now we've got 6 actions. Maintenance mode, toggles, disconnect, log off. When we hit save, should add 2 new actions. So if I hit save, we've now got 2 more actions. We've got start machine and stop machine, which is good. Hit update. Okay. So that's gone in. We can double check by having a quick look at the service actions here on this side, and we've got start machine and stop machine. Cool. Okay. So now let's add this functionality to the user interface or the microapp. So if we go back up to the integration, we're going to drop into my desktops. I'm going to go to pages, and then we're going to edit that desktop detail page. Okay. We've got the page here, we've got 2 buttons down here. We're going to add some more buttons. So drag and drop that one, and we'll call that start machine. And we'll add another one. Stop machine. Come on. Cool. Okay. The next thing to do once we've dragged and dropped that button across is to add an action to it, because we want it to do something when people click it. So we go to actions, need to run a service action, because that's what we've just added at the back end. If I expand this out, you'll see run service action. So we need to choose the Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktop Service, because that's the integration that we just added that service action to. And then we need to choose start machine. And then we'll add some parameters. So If you recall, like what the API needs to be given in order to work, we need to give it a machine ID and a site ID. So we'll set that in these parameters. So if I edit parameters, here ID is the machine ID, and we'll get that from the data in microapps. So we'll choose column value and then machine ID, and then again site ID, column value. If we scroll down, we've got machine.site ID. So this is going to map what's shown to the person in the user interface, which will include the machine ID and the machine site ID, and that's whether that information is displayed to the user or not. So as long as it's in the database, it will be available to the service action when we hit the button. So I hit save. Do the same thing for stop machine. So again, actions and service action. This one, and then this time we want stop machine. Edit parameters, column value, machine ID, column value. Where have we gone? Lost it. There we go. Site ID. Cool. Okay, so hit save. And that's it, actually, in terms of kind of configuring this. The next thing to do is to take a look at the workspace user interface. No, it's not. We need to set some rules. Okay, so we set rules on the page by, if we click up here, we can go to edit logic, and this helps us control what things appear on the page depending on different conditions, right? So in this example, we're going to add a rule, and we're going to call it start stop buttons, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to say if this rule's conditions are met. So we're going to say if the power state is equal to off, then we will show a component. So in this case, the component is a button. We'll show a button called start machine, and we will hide stop machine, okay, because it's off, so we can't stop it. And then we'll do an else. So if it's the other way around and the machine is on, or more like any other state, we'll set it to, so we will show stop machine, and we will hide stop machine. So we'll just do that. Okay, I'll save that rule. Okay, that's done. Right, so we're now done. What we'll do is we'll take a look at Workspace. So if I go to desktops now, okay, we take a look at this one. So you can see that this desktop is off, right? And because it's off, I don't have the option to stop it because we set that rule, right? But I do have the option to start it. And the same would be true the other way around. So if we take a look at this one, I only have the option to stop the machine. So there's no option to start it because the power state's on. So yeah, that's it in terms of configuring that. I'll include a link to a GitHub gist that includes that code that you need, the JavaScript code, just to make things a little bit easier. And I'll include that at the end of the presentation. So yeah, that's all we've got time for today. I hope this was useful. I hope you picked up some stuff to help you kind of build on these things. What I've done is we've got a bunch of links here that can kind of help you get started on this journey, get started with the CVAD service microapps, the CVAD REST APIs, We've got a nice little introduction to microapp scripting, which is really neat. And then we've got the GitHub gist that I promised for the start-stop functionality, just to make it a bit easier to copy and paste that in. And then lastly, I've included a link to a TechZone Live session that I did where I talked about the CVAD service microapps and what they do, because I didn't have time to cover that here. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye-bye.